Buenos dias, familia. Israel Torres here with Cat Village Studios and, of course, Caribbean American Passport News. And we are here with Christie Mitchell, one of the candidates that will be at the Pine Hills Hob Nob coming up. How are you doing, Christie? Mrs. Mitchell?
I'm doing well. Please call me Christy.
Hey,
And thank you so much for having me here today.
it's our pleasure. We're keeping a close eye on everything that's going around. We make sure, we inform everybody and give everybody a platform also to speak, especially the candidates like yourself. I have matter of fact, let's get started
Okay.
with the first question for the people just getting to know you. Who is Christie Mitchell and why are you stepping to this race right now at this moment?
So I'm Christie Mitchell. I am running for circuit judge of the Ninth Circuit Group 2. I have been a trial attorney here in Central Florida for 16 years. And over the past 16 years, I've had the opportunity to observe judges and see their rulings and see the real impact that judges' rulings have on the members of our community, whether they affect individuals or children or small businesses. And we have 5 of our circuit judges not seeking re-election this election cycle. And so there's a need for qualified candidates, and I am well qualified to serve.
Perfect answer. Well, you got my vote.
Thanks.
You spent a lot of your career in family law. How has that shaped the way you think about justice and your decision making?
So I've actually spent maybe the last decade, maybe in primarily family law. I actually still maintain a civil caseload as well. But I started as an attorney in 2009, and that was during the Great Recession. So I went to civil, mortgage foreclosure defense, credit card defense, landlord tenant, business disputes, basically anything financial. There was a lawsuit about it because everybody was losing their shirt back then. And so I do have civil experience and family law experience, and it helps shape the way that I think about cases because family law is very emotional. It's very tough. And I'm board certified in Maryland family law, which means I'm a trial attorney. You have to be a trial attorney in order to be board certified. And so I have cases where people have very serious concerns about their children.
Yes.
And so it's all it weighs heavy on you. You want to make sure you're doing a good job for your client while maintaining your obligations to the bench. And I think that it's helped me want to serve as a judge because I just see the very real impact that it has on families. Judges get a very brief period of time with a family. And in the Ninth Judicial Circuit, which is Orange and Osceola County, most of the new judges are put into the family law division. And that's because the family law bench is considered a teaching bench. We want our judges to get it right, where some of the other divisions of the circuit court are not always as helpful to the bench.
Yeah.
And so I sit on the family law committee of the Orange County Bar Association, and I'm very involved in just the whole process, teaching attorneys, putting on CLEs, and I just want to serve my community in a more impactful way.
Well, I could hear just by what your responses, the dedication you have when it comes concerning the family, itself, which is the most important thing in our community is families.
Yes.
And now you're putting more weight on your shoulders. A lot of people don't even realize how much of an impact a circuit judge has, right? So what does this role actually mean for everyday people in our community in your eyes? Like, how would you describe this role for those that don't understand what a circuit judge is?
So a circuit judge they're the highest level of trial court in Florida. That's the easiest way to explain it. You've heard of small claims, or you've heard of county court, often called the people's court. When you think about Judge Judy, for example, that's the people's court type. It's really arbitration, but those types of cases. Circuit court is the highest level of trial court. It is family law. It is probate, which is when somebody passes away and they need their estate administered. It is guardianship. It is criminal, serious criminal cases, felonies. It is our specialty courts for the circuit court criminal, or the dependency court when the state's trying to take a child in order to protect the child. So it encompasses a lot of things. Judges, circuit judges can be placed in any of those divisions. It's up to the chief judge of the circuit to assign the division. It just so happens that usually judges that are new to the bench are placed in family law when those seats are available.
Well, I'm gonna step back into the family law cases because I could tell that, there was a lot of emotion behind that. And in 10 years, especially, that you said that you were, a part of the family law case division and all that. But how do you stay fair and grounded when people's lives are literally changing in front of you? Because it's a very emotional, and there's high stakes, like you mentioned, like
And just to clarify the question, are you asking as an attorney or how I would behave as a judge?
as a judge.
So-
Oh, you as a, I mean, answer both. That's interesting. How did you behave as an attorney, and how do you plan on doing it as a judge?
Well, so the role of an attorney and the role of a judge are completely different.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Right? And an attorney is an
course.
advocate for their client. It is their job to advocate the position of the client, even if you disagree with it,
Mhm.
and so long as it's within the rules governing attorneys. And so a judge, their job is, in my eyes, they're the guardian of the law. They're there to ensure the process is fair, the evidence received is admissible, that there's competent evidence to support the decision, to make sure that everybody has a fair and full opportunity to be heard, and that their decisions are grounded in the law. So the roles are just completely different. And I think that a judge is able to rest easy, so to speak, by just acknowledging that their role is not to advocate. Their role is only to make a decision based on the evidence that's presented as applied to the law as written.
Well said.
Did that answer your question?
Of course it did. Of course it did. What's something you've seen in the courtroom that you think needs to change or improve in our judicial system since you have that experience?
There's room for improvement, across all organizations. And the Ninth Judicial Circuit does a lot of things well. One thing that I think would help, and we have budget constraints, right? We can't just pull money out of nowhere to get these services. But in civil cases, family law or civil, we don't provide interpreters for people.
Mhm.
And we have a very diverse community, people who speak multiple languages or languages that are not English, and they have to pay out of pocket in order to have a certified interpreter come to court to translate their proceedings. If the budget allows it, I think it would be great to have more interpreters available. I think that would improve the due process rights of the non-English speaking people that we have in our community.
I like that answer, especially, in Pine Hills, in the Orlando area. It's a melting pot for all different types of culture and,
Absolutely.
languages, and of course, great food. Of
Very good
course,
food.
great food. What, like, can you share a moment in your, I'm curious, can you just share a moment in your career that kind of like stuck to you and kind of, it will influences your approach on how you take these cases today? Like something that, there's always, like, even in my job, there's been stuff, in the media department that I've went through that it's, it changed my approach on how I, deal or handle certain things. What influences you? Like, name one moment or a case that kind of still influences you and makes an impact on your decision making.
I think that as we're talking about running for judicial office,
Mhm.
it would probably be, I had a case probably in 2017 or so. And this was before fathers had equal rights to their children. The law changed recently in 2023, so now it's approached a little bit differently. But back in 2017, that was not the view. There was not a presumption that fathers should have equal time sharing with their children. And we were in front of a very fair judge who truly treated everybody equally and kept an open mind. And we went to trial, heard all the evidence, and the judge said, both parents get equal time sharing. But if mom doesn't move within 25 miles of dad, then when the child hits kindergarten, then dad's going to be the majority parent because the court felt like the dad was the better parent in that situation. And then mom went and she hired counsel and she made a challenge to substitute counsel. She had counsel at trial, but she made a challenge to the court's decision. And I'm a bit of a nerd. I don't know if you can tell that about me, but I love to read. I love to know the law, understand the law. It's very important to me that we follow the law and we follow the procedure. But they made a challenge. They challenged the judge's order. And when you're sitting as a judge, that challenge goes to the sitting judge. And the judge was so calm and composed during that hearing. And she actually felt like she was bound by the higher court, by actually a Florida Supreme Court case. And so she granted a new trial. And I just felt like it was very interesting because she was able to put her personal feelings aside, being the person who heard the trial and heard the evidence, and she did what she felt she was required to do. And so I think that's really important for judges to do what you believe is the law commands you to do. It ended up that she did not have to do that. We did take it up on appeal and the fifth BCA reversed it and said, no, you got it right the first time, judge. So it had a happy ending, but I was very impressed by the court's demeanor and her judgment and her faithfulness to the law.
Being a father, that story touched me, because I'd be doing, from my end, my version of parenting, which we call me hover dad, call me dance dad, everything to do about her. But just to know that a person like me has a fair chance, and you saw that and it made an impact, it kind of makes me feel even, it makes me feel differently about you. I like you even more now.
I'm glad to hear
So,
that.
I like that. I like that. Especially people don't understand what it is to kind of get that, like the right taken from you. Just because you're not a mom. And even though I mean, I'm saying as a father, getting that right taken. Like when people look at you and you being the
right.
father, not having the right that the mother usually has. Even though I love my mother, she's in heaven, and I'm a mama's boy. And, mothers are, to me, one of the most important things that you have throughout life. But fathers are a huge impact as well. So I like that you actually found, that to be something impactful that has helped you. And going back on you running for circuit judge, we all know that you aren't supposed to be political, but do you still, having to run a campaign and having to navigate through it, how do you find a balance, to be in a campaign like that with so much political stuff being thrown left and right?
So I don't think it's something that needs to be balanced because the rules very specific. Judges are not political. So what we can do is we can get out there, we can talk to people in the community, we can educate them about judges, how it works. A lot of people don't know what the Ninth Judicial Circuit is, which is all of Orange and all of Osceola County. A lot of people don't know that judges are elected and that they're elected during the primaries, which is August 18th of 2026. So you can vote Mitchell for judge, August 18th, 2026. A lot of people just do not know how it works because most people don't think about judges until they have to stand in front of one.
Yes.
And at that point, you're stuck with that judge. So again, judges have a huge impact on our lives, and we usually don't realize it until we're standing in front of them. So it is really important for our community, for voters to be informed about the judges and the choices available.
For someone that's walking into a courtroom for the first time, that could be extremely intimidating, right?
Yes.
How would you make sure people feel heard and respected in your courtroom?
What I have seen works the best is treating everybody with courtesy and respect. I think judges kind of set the tone for their courtroom. So when somebody comes into the courtroom, good morning or good afternoon, you want to try to put them at ease. You want to talk to them just like they're regular people because they're just regular people. And people are very intimidated in a court proceeding. Lawyers are still intimidated when they go into a court proceeding if they have a big trial or something. And so I completely understand. And I think that it's important to make them feel welcome in the courtroom, ensure that they're understanding what they're there for, the process that they can expect, manage the expectations of everybody in the courtroom, keep an open mind until the end of the presentation of all of the evidence, ensure that the evidence received comports with the requirements of the law, and then make a ruling based on the evidence. Because I think what people want most when they come into court, because nobody wants to be in court, they're there because they have a dispute that they couldn't resolve on their own. And so they need somebody else. But I think what is most important to people is to be heard. They want to tell their side of the story and why they think they're right. And they're not always right because sometimes they didn't consider this other thing, or sometimes the law really just doesn't allow a judge to do something, even if the judge disagrees, because their personal belief has no bearing on what the law is. And so I think it's just really important for people to feel heard by being respectful to them and making sure they're allowed to tell their story, and then that your ruling is explained. You don't want a one-word ruling, denied or granted. Explain the ruling to people so they understand it.
And in that position, like, how do you balance applying the law as it's written with understanding the human side of each one of these cases?
If I understand the question,
You pretty much, you pretty much had an answer that it's difficult for. I was asking that because you pretty much said that the law doesn't allow you
well,
to go by
I'll give you
what
an
you think all the time. So
right. I'll give you a really good example, and it's dogs. People love their dogs. Your dog is your best friend. The law treats dogs as property, so the same as a table, right? So if somebody hurts or injures your dog, you can recover medical bills or the veterinarian bills for that, but you can't recover emotional damages, compensation for the emotional damages from having to watch your dog be hurt. So that's what I mean. On a human level, I understand that dogs are man's best friend, right? But that does not mean that the law recognizes them as anything more than property.
that's a good example. At the end of this first term, because we're getting elected, right?
Yes.
At the end of this first term, what do you want people to say about Judge Mitchell?
I would like people to think that I was fair, that I did what I said I was going to do, that I listened to their story, that I made rulings in accordance with the law, and that my heart was always in the right place. That's really what I'd like. I'd like people to respect the decisions, even if they don't win. I think that's the best anyone can hope for in this position, because it is a high stakes, high pressure position where we do have to make difficult calls if we're elected judge.
Well, from my part, it was a pleasure to have you here with us at Cap Village Studios. We will be seeing you at the Pine Hills Hob Nob.
Yes.
I'm there every year for it. We wish you the best,
Thank you.
and I'll see you after your first term so we could do this again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.